Hi there, it's Chris Hamilton here with Sales Tip a Day, www.salestipaday.com. And I thought what I'd do is put out a 3-part course on using the power of LinkedIn to generate better qualified sales opportunities. And so this is kind of part 1, and I'm just going to set this up as, part 1, I just go over some of the, a few of the details of what's going to happen. Part 2, I go greater detail into how to generate sales leads. And then part 3, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually answer some questions. So I had thrown out an email to quite a few people and got a great response. And I had some really great questions on LinkedIn. So I'm going to, in the third one, talk about specific things as it relates to LinkedIn, certain questions that were being asked. But in this one, we're going to talk about the power of using LinkedIn to generate better qualified sales leads. So one of the things that brought this about was when I started looking at a pipeline for a software company that I own. We started at ground zero pretty much kind of in March of 2016. And within 3 months, and me literally only doing this what I would deem part-time, and part-time being probably a day or less a week, we were able to put $1.8 million worth of opportunities into a sales pipeline. And that was literally all my efforts, just going out and trying to leverage LinkedIn to generate these opportunities. Now, this amount is much higher now. It's probably closer to about 2.3 million. And the good thing about it is on a weighted pipeline, it's basically, about a 50% close rate, I believe, is what we'll end up with this. So, just to show that there's proof in the pudding, I've kind of blocked the names out of the companies and also the revenue side of things, more for privacy's sake and stuff like that. But what you can see is there's 7 opportunities in this pipeline that are generating $1.782 million in opportunities. Now, that said, though, I don't have all the opportunities in here. There's a whole bunch of smaller opportunities that I'll think if they added up, they'd probably throw in another $150,000 to $200,000 into this pipeline. But the concept here is that every single one of these opportunities, and even the smaller ones that aren't listed here, were all done by leveraging LinkedIn and a process and a technology, or a process that I have developed over using LinkedIn for close to 10 years. And it's also generated millions of dollars of sales and put, hundreds of thousands of dollars into my pocket as well. So I'm going to talk a bit about a past company. I used to own a software company. This is just basically when I first got onto LinkedIn. When I actually got on LinkedIn, I was probably just above about the 4 millionth member that jumped on LinkedIn. To give you a perspective, that was in March 2006. And this time now is in August 2016. There's almost close to 450,000 or 450 million people on LinkedIn. So I was in the top 1% of people that started in LinkedIn. So I've been on it for a super long time. I've learned a lot of stuff from it. Literally, same thing. I went from cold calling and sending out letters and everything humanly possible to generate not a lot of interest in a product. Then I started leveraging LinkedIn and kind of took this company from about $250,000 to about $7 million in recurring revenue in about a 2.5 year period. And this is ages back. We're talking like 7-8 years ago. And in the internet world, that's an infinity. It was super long time ago, but managed to ramp this company up from basically $250,000 in sales. There's 4 of us in the company. By the time I burned out doing this, but by the time I ended up selling out of the company myself, we were at 27 employees and almost just shy of 7 million in revenue. And as I say, when I first started doing this, I was sending letters out and smiling and dialing, doing the old cold call, and it just didn't work. So I'll tell you what, like in the first year of sales, we only had 40,000 in new sales coming into this company. So the vast majority of the wealth or the revenue that we brought in was literally in about a year and a half after I started leveraging LinkedIn and getting a whole bunch done. And as I said, the beginning part was just strictly sending letters out with a little bit of information and cold calling. Now, The one thing I will give credit on this is I still kept doing that while I was leveraging LinkedIn. So, I was keeping people warm, and when I was reaching out to them, they knew exactly who I was. So there's multiple touch points with these people, but that just gives you an idea on this one. So how do I do this now? So, I don't send letters out anymore. I have only picked up a phone once in the last 4 to 5 years to make a cold call, I think. And in that case, it was more of a opportunity that had to be jumped on immediately before I had to do it, and I had no connections into this company. But how do I do it now? Literally what it is I leverage the power of LinkedIn. So the world's largest business network online. And then what you do is you're going to start leveraging referrals from your connections. And literally that leads to so much success. And I'll show you why in a couple of seconds here. So this whole process of leveraging LinkedIn plus referrals to get success is something I call the digital referral. Now, I'm going to show you some mind-blowing facts here. These are things that will literally just, it's crazy when you start looking at this sort of stuff. And it's interesting. Pardon me. When I started looking at this stuff, I started thinking, holy smokes, this is incredible, and very few people are doing it. So just as a matter of fact, the Word of Mouth Marketing Association has shown that only 11% of salespeople, now salespeople are also, business owners, entrepreneurs, anyone that's involved in generating business. Only 11% of people have a formalized referral process. 89% don't. It's ad hoc, or they don't do it at all. The same report from Word of Mouth Marketing Association shows that 65% of all sales are through referrals or through word of mouth, which I deem to be literally the same sort of thing. And so that's huge numbers. So when you take those numbers and start to look at them, so 11% going after 65% rather than 89% going after 35% of sales, the ones that have a referral process in place are generating 15 times more sales leads, and they're way better qualified sales leads, by the way, as well. So the other way to look at this is those same numbers, 11% accessing 65% of sales and 89% accessing 35% of sales. When you look at that as a percentage-wise, people who have a referral process in place are generating typically 94% more sales leads than their counterparts that do not have a referral process or systematized referral process in place. So these things also, referred sales generate on average 14% more revenue per sale. They also close at double the normal rate. So a typical sales closes at 25%. Referred sales close at approximately 50%. So not only do you get more, they close at a better rate. And then on top of it, you can typically sell or get a sales cycle closed in upwards of a quarter of the time. And the reason being is because when you're leveraging a referral from somebody to go into another person or an organization, typically you're riding on their trust level into that person that you're trying to be referred to. So you don't have to build a longer, get to know, like, and trust this person. You're leveraging someone else's trust factor on this one. So when you look at this, when you start tying this all together, so if you're generating, 15 times more sales leads, if they're closing at 50% greater, on top of it, they're closing at a quarter the time and they generate 14% more sales or revenue. If you start pulling all those factors together, compared to the average salesperson out there, this is a 137-time multiplier on potential revenue coming in the door. The other way to look at this is if we pull the revenue factor out and just use strict productivity gains, it's about a 1 to 120 ratio. So basically, people that are leveraging referrals are getting about 120 times greater lift in sales success than people that do not. So, I'm a realist. I understand that you're not going to fire on all cylinders and get 100 times greater opportunities coming, or 120 times greater opportunities coming to the door. But think about it this way. if you could leverage LinkedIn, you'd leverage the power of referrals and do it in a systematized process on a regular basis, then you could double your sales, quadruple your sales, 10x your sales. I mean, these are it's not unachievable to get that sort of stuff. And I have to say, does it work? So let me explain something to you how it works. So this chart here on the right hand side is a activity chart that was out of a software company that I worked for about a year and 3/4. And the big line at the top here, that's my activity. So that'd be emails, phone calls, and meetings made, and also online demos that were done. So they're kind of all fall in the group. Online demos and meetings kind of fall almost in the same group. But anyways, what happens is I ended up, compared to all the other reps, so there's 240 people listed on here, I ended up booking 10 times more meetings. Now, not only did I book 10 times more meetings, I didn't have one-to-one meetings. I would usually have 2 or 3 people. In about 50% of the cases, I'd have 2 or 3 people meeting with me. So it'd be a lunch meeting, it might be a coffee meeting, it might be whatever. But I was literally trying to maximize my exposure out to people. And most of these meetings came about from leveraging the power of LinkedIn to generate referrals into these companies and meet with them. Then on top of it, I was generating 30 times more online demos for the software that we were promoting out to the marketplace compared to the average people in the organization. And what I did was same sort of thing. I leveraged my LinkedIn connections. I would hold educational sessions online and invite people in. And I would get, I'd get 20, 30, 40, 60 people at a time showing up to these online demos where people could, educate themselves and learn more. And it worked. And I did this literally in about half the time of what my other salespeople did. So I had dramatic productivity gains in about half the time. Now, the other thing I need to explain is I'm based in Western Canada, and Western Canada has been specifically hit hard with the oil and gas sector going down and also with the mining sector going down. Now, the company I was working for played into M&A software in the oil and gas sector and into the mining sector, predominantly in Western Canada. My market in the almost 2 years that I was there was off literally 92%. Yet, what I did was I was able to maintain my numbers year over year in a market where I should have been off over 90%. I was able to maintain my numbers just by leveraging this power. So it's huge upside and huge gain. So I'll tell you what, as I say, this whole transformation for me it's an experiment that had happened. And I still experiment to this day, but it's an experiment that took me literally over 10 years to do. So from the time I jumped on LinkedIn in March 2006 until even today, August 2016, I have had to devote a lot of time to it. And the devotion of time to this is literally, it's been in the hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn this process. Now, I've been very lucky as that I've worked for a lot of companies who have footed that bill. But, it's one of those things where if only I had learned how to do what I do today so much quicker, I would have been way more productive, making way more money, and having, a better life. Not saying I have a bad life. I have a tremendously wonderful life right now. But I'll tell you what, my life would even be better today if I had done this or learned it sooner. So this is just the first email. I kind of put the preface out there to show you that, literally, I'm leveraging LinkedIn. I'm building opportunities. I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars just using this process. I've generated millions of dollars in sales for companies doing this stuff. This just sets the groundwork. I'm going to send out 2 more emails in this mini course. And this is where I'm going to show you specific tactics that you can use and leverage to get out the door and start generating more opportunities. So first thing I'm going to do is that, I have gone through thousands of people's profiles online, and I have found literally 11 things that people do with their profile that are not good. They don't work. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to go through and show 11 profile tips that will help you generate up to 15 times more view from qualified buyers. And in fact, I'm going to show you the one mistake that if you're a salesperson that if you're doing it is going to reduce your profile views by 50%. Why is that important? 50% of all buyers of products and services go on LinkedIn to look for someone that will solve their problem. Right out the gate, if you're not doing this one thing, you are going to reduce your views by 50% and your competition will beat you out on that. So I will show you 11 profile tips, including the one mistake that reduces your profile views by 50%. Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start to show you how to find ideal prospects on LinkedIn that your competition are not going after. And it's a very straightforward, easy process. And the minute you start implementing it, you are going to see a tremendous gain in your productivity and the amount of meetings you book with better qualified people that close faster. So the other thing is I'm going to show you how to approach LinkedIn prospects that could get you up to 15 times more meetings, and it's 50 times more effective than cold calling. And the kicker on this one is based on my stuff that happens with my account and everything like that. I'm just going to tell you, I can look on LinkedIn and I realize 99.9% of people on LinkedIn are not doing this one thing that I'm going to teach you that's going to get you 15 times more meetings, and also it's 50 times more effective than cold calling. So think about this for a sec. If you are cold calling right now, just by watching this next free video that I'm going to send out, I'm going to show you how to be 50 times more effective. You will never have to pick up that phone again and stress out about people chewing you out or hanging up on you or anything like that. Get rid of that out of your life completely. And I'm going to tell you what, your competition is not doing it. 99.9% of the people on LinkedIn are not doing this sort of stuff. Now, last but not least, I'm going to show you how LinkedIn will send you highly qualified sales leads on a weekly basis. And once again, very few people are doing this. And once you start combining these tactics and tricks that I'm going to show you, then the opportunities start coming your way. And you just have to be a little bit proactive on it and put the process in place, but you're going to see a tremendous upside on what you're doing. So I want you to watch for the next video. That's once again where I'm going to show you how to get better qualified prospects from your target demographic. As always, if you ever have any kind of questions, if you're looking for help on LinkedIn, anything like that, contact me, chris@salestipaday.com, or reach out to me. If you're in North America, call me, 403-630-1243. If you're outside of North America, just email me. I'll get back to you. Check my emails on a frequent basis, and we'll go from there. If we are not connected on LinkedIn, by the way, look up Chris Hamilton. I'm in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I should be the one at the very top. Go there, reach out, connect with me, and I will gladly accept your invitation. But do me a favor, when you're reaching out, go to my profile, click the connect button, and just tell me, Chris, I saw your course, would like to reach out and connect with you, or would like to connect with you on LinkedIn. That way, at least I know where you're coming from. So hopefully you've learned enough from this, and you have yourself a great day.